Well, one of my members asked me if I could show her what would happen if I use crystal clear or a spray varnish, doesn't have to be crystal clear, over my resin before I put in alcohol inks and see if it makes a difference. So I thought, yeah, I will do that. I'm happy to do that experiment for her. But what I'm also going to show is what happens when you add WD40 to your resin and a little bit of alcohol when you're using opaque pigments and the effect that that gives. So what I've got here is I've got the same jewelry molds, and so we can do a comparison. What I'm going to do is, that one says it's with spray varnish, and that one says it's without spray varnish, and it's written on the back of each one of them. And the same with this, without WD-40 and 99% alcohol, and with WD-40 and 99% alcohol. We've moved over to working on some brown paper because I'm going to be spraying varnish and I'm going to be spraying WD-40, and I don't want that to get on my silicone mat because it's a pain in the bum to clean out. I've also got myself some card as well so I can cover up different pieces to ensure that I don't get it over everything. It's time to mix up my resin. What I'm going to be using is the brilliant J-Diction 4-hour demold. I really love this. It's ideal for these sorts of things because it's a thicker resin, so it's going to stop everything spreading out too much. Got a brilliant UV protection. It's crystal clear, high gloss, is odorless, non-flammable and BPA free, which is very, very important. It's a 1-to-1 resin. I'm going to quickly mix that up and show you what I'm going to do next. I've got my resin poured out. All I'm going to do now is start putting my resin in my molds that are going to have the alcohol ink in them, and then quickly burn off any bubbles that have come up to the top. And I've already poured into my little jugs my resin, ready for the WD-40 and the alcohol. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with those in a minute. First, what I'm going to do is start putting my alcohol inks into here. I'm going to try and get the same amount in each one and try and get the same pattern in each one. But whether that'll work, who knows. So I'm going to do 2 colours to start with. So that was a yellow and this is a purple. Now cover all this up. Now I can spray my varnish. Now I'm going to spray it from quite a distance and just put a light spray over the top because I don't want the varnish to move anything. So now they're sprayed, what I'm going to do now is put some white on, and then a bit of orange, and then another bit of white. And now what I'm going to do is leave those for about 20-25 minutes before I do anything else. I'm just going to push them to one side so I don't stick my elbow in them, because if not, my elbow will go in them. There is no doubt about that. So these ones we're going to do slightly differently. Now I'm going to mix up the same colours, going all the way along. And these are just resin pigments, opaque resin pigment. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is give those a good stir in. And now I'm going to add a little bit of mica powder, white mica powder to the white one. Same amount in each one. And then a little bit of red mica powder to this one. Give them a bit of a stir. Big thank you to everyone that got me coffee last month. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make as many videos in the last couple of months, and it might happen as well throughout September because of family problems, and also my mental health hasn't been really brilliant. I've been burnt out a little bit, so I've cut down the amount of videos that I've been making. So everyone that got me a coffee, thank you so much. It couldn't have come at a better time. And also a massive thank you to all my members as well. Without you and the members group, I would never ever have been able to survive. So now what I'm going to be doing is I've got some alcohol in a pipette here. These are the ones with the mica powder. So the first 2 I'm putting a bit of alcohol in, and I'm putting this 99% alcohol, 6 drops in each, 7 drops in each. And now I need to give that a good mix in as well. Nothing in these ones, because this is the comparison group. And then in these ones, I'm going to give a quick spray of WD-40. Like that. That's the mica powder ones. And give that a good mix in. And now we're ready to pour those. So how I'm going to do this is pour my alcohol ones in first. These are the non-alcohol ones. Then I'm going to go to a WD-40 one. Put some of that on. Okay, now I'm going to put some of the alcohol back on. And then I'm going to finish off again with a little bit of the mica powder and the WD-40. Oh, nearly put that on the wrong one. I knew it was going to happen, weren't it? And then this is the one without. Okay, and then we're going back to our alcohol in our pipette. And what I'm going to do is pop some of this over the top of this one, which is the combination of alcohol ink and WD-40. And we'll now leave those to cure up, and we'll come back to these in about 10 minutes. So these have now been sitting here for 10 minutes, and what I'm going to do is quickly stir them, or give them a bit of a twist. I've got my silicone toothpick here, because then it's not going to damage my mold. And I'm making sure I go right down to the bottom of each one, and then I'm wiping my tip before I go on to the next one to ensure that that's nice and clean. And now we can leave those. These have had plenty enough time, and we can now go and do the same for these. We can leave those now to cure up, and then once they're cured up, we can do a comparison with them and see which ones we like and how the different products in the resin have affected the finish. I'm not sure how this one's going to work well on this one, because I've normally done it with deeper molds, but I quite like it with the idea of jewellery. Well, these have all cured now, so I'm really interested to see what the difference is. So this is with the varnish sprayed in between those coats, and this is without. Now, I wouldn't say there is an awful lot of difference. Again, without, I just think maybe it gives a different effect with the colours. Overall, not bad. I'm quite happy with that. Not sure I would do it again, but we'll see. That's why we do these experiments. But with the WD-40 and the alcohol inks, you can definitely see the difference. Now, I would use this as my front of the actual piece rather than this bit, and you can really see how that has kind of allowed it to keep separate rather than blending in with each other. That one is much more blended in than that one, and the same for this. This is with the alcohol inks and the WD-40. This is without, and again, that has got a much more distinct finish to it than this one. This hasn't. I think I put too much of that colour in this one as opposed to that one. Now the backs shouldn't look really any real different. So this is with the WD-40. What you do get is you get a smoother finish on it than you do without the WD-40 and the alcohol. So again, that's with the WD-40, much smoother than on this one, much nicer finish, and again on that one. I'm going to dome these now using a high viscosity UV resin, because that can often make a big difference to how these look, and it's much quicker doming with a UV resin than it is with doming with an epoxy resin. And on this one, I forgot to say as well, it had started, because I got this thicker, I don't know if you can see here, but it started to make cells. And doming is really easy. But when you dome it, just pop on your thicker UV resin all the way around the edge like that, and then I fill in the middle, and then I leave it for a few minutes to release any bubbles. Go over it with a little lighter like that, and then using my large J-Diction UV lamp, I will cure those all up. That's then finished being domed, and it definitely has highlighted the differences in that a lot more. I just showed these to someone and they said, oh yeah, I do prefer with the WD-40 that it looks much more fluid. Now if you put thinner layers in, you would get more cells, and you would certainly get more cells as well if you put the alcohol ink in first as opposed to the WD-40, because it's the lighter one would come up. I like that. Subtle difference, but still a difference, and I think it's worth doing. Doesn't take too long to add those things to your resin, and they've cured lovely and hard, so they're not going anywhere. This is the domed one with the spray. To be honest, I can't see a lot of difference, but it does make a big difference if you dome the back of your alcohol ink pendants and things. Not only does it make it a lot smoother, but it also gives it more of a 3D effect. Going back over to there, did spill some UV resin on this one, so that's kind of messed that up. Maybe the colours are a little bit more defined in the ones that have got the varnish in, and you haven't got as much bleed through to the base either here. I mean, as I said, I got UV resin on that one, so I messed that one up completely. But overall, not a major effect, so I don't really think that is too much of a win. I might play around with that a little bit more and see if I can get a better result with that. And if I do, I'll show you. I really like that one. That I'm undecided about. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button. Check out the video that I've got coming up next. It's another great one for making great little gifts. But most of all, take care and enjoy your resin. Bye.